The rise and fall of the Mongol Empire. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're embarking on an epic journey through time to explore one of the greatest empires in history, the Mongol Empire. With its dramatic rise under Genghis Khan, vast expansions across Asia and Europe, and eventual decline, the Mongol Empire not only shaped the territories it conquered but also the dynamics of medieval civilization. Join us as we delve into its pivotal wars, remarkable strategies, notable figures, and an enduring legacy. Section 1. The Origins of the Mongols. The story of the Mongols begins in the unforgiving terrains of Central Asia, particularly in modern-day Mongolia. Here, nomadic tribes like the Mongols, Tartars, and Merkid roamed the vast grasslands, their lives entwined with their herds of sheep, horses, and camels. They were deeply influenced by the seasonal cycles, and their society revolved around clans, each with its own leader, a chief who commanded loyalty and discipline. Power struggles among these clans were common, as disputes over grazing land and resources often erupted into conflict. The practices of raiding and betrayal were prevalent, instilling in the Mongols a culture steeped in warfare and survival. Born as Temujin around 1162, he faced immense hardship early in life after his father, a tribal chief, was poisoned by a rival clan. Left to fend for themselves with little support, Temujin's family endured poverty and combat. The adversity he faced ignited within him a relentless ambition. He vowed not only to survive but to unite the scattered and often warring Mongolian tribes. By forming strategic alliances, particularly through marriage, Temujin began consolidating power. One notable union was his marriage to Borte, which was central to forging alliances with other influential tribes. After a series of conflicts and skillful diplomacy, in 1206, he succeeded in uniting the Mongolian tribes, earning the title Genghis Khan, which marked the foundation of a unified Mongolian state. Section 2. The conquests begin. With a unified Mongolian realm behind him, Genghis Khan set his sights on conquest. His military campaigns were characterized by a blend of tactical genius, psychological warfare, and remarkable adaptability. One of the most significant campaigns was against the Khwarezm Empire in 1219. This powerful state, stretching across present-day Iran and parts of Central Asia, had previously engaged in commerce with the Mongols. However, when Genghis Khan sent a trade mission, the Shah of Khwarezm executed the envoys, prompting retaliation. Battle of Bukhara, 1220. The first major confrontation occurred at Bukhara, which held great strategic importance. Genghis Khan besieged the city, using a combination of siege engines and the psychological tactic of creating fear. Upon capturing Bukhara, Khan executed the governor for his insolence, proclaiming the fatal consequences for betrayal. This set a bloody precedent for his empire's military campaigns. Battle of Samarkand, 1220. Following Bukhara's fall, Genghis Khan turned his attention to Samarkand. The city's defenders underestimated the Mongols, leading to a swift assault. Genghis used deception, sending a fraction of his forces to feign an attack while the main army entered the city through a different route. The capture of Samarkand not only secured a pivotal stronghold but also secured valuable resources for future campaigns. Siege of Nishapur, 1221. After the death of a Mongol general during a raid, Genghis Khan unleashed brutal vengeance on Nishapur. The siege exemplified the Mongols' ferocity. After capturing the city, they killed tens of thousands of its inhabitants. This act made it clear that defiance against the Mongols would result in devastating consequences. These campaigns laid the groundwork for further Mongol expansion into Eastern Europe. Starting in the early 13th century, the Mongols turned their gaze westward, drawn by opportunities for conquest and the wealth of the burgeoning Russian principalities. By 1236, the Mongol invasion of Kievan Rus was spearheaded by Batu Khan, the grandson of Genghis Khan, marking the beginning of a significant and brutal incursion into Eastern Europe. Kievan Rus, comprised of various city-states, such as Kiev, Novgorod, and Vladimir, was at the height of its power in the 10th and 11th centuries. However, by the early 13th century, the region faced internal fragmentation and rivalry among principalities. This disunity made it more susceptible to external threats, including those posed by the Mongols. The Battle of Kalka River in 1223 was a pivotal moment in this campaign and a precursor to the later Mongol invasions. Although not directly part of the larger 1236 campaign, it set the tone for what was to come. The Russian princes, united under a composite force, sought to confront the Mongol threat. They faced an adversary who was not only experienced in open warfare but also brilliant in maneuvers. In this decisive encounter, the Mongols, led by commanders who would later join Batu's forces, faced a coalition of Russian princes at the Kalka River. The Mongol forces, although significantly outnumbered, employed their signature tactics that included feigned retreats, where they pretended to flee in order to draw the enemy into a vulnerable position. As the Russian forces pursued what they believed to be a retreating army, the Mongols executed a sudden counterattack, flanking their adversaries and effectively encircling them. Despite being heavily outnumbered, the disciplined Mongol cavalry swiftly turned the tide of battle. This ability to execute complicated maneuvers and the profound psychological warfare tactics showcased not only their military prowess but also their deep understanding of terrain and enemy behavior. The result was a catastrophic defeat for the Russian princes. In the aftermath, the Mongols executed many captives, sending a chilling message to the fractured principalities of Kiev and Rus. This early encounter would foreshadow the larger invasions that would come a few years later. In 1236, Batu Khan led a full-scale invasion of Kiev and Rus, capitalizing on the disunity among the Russian princes and the momentum from their earlier victories. The Mongol forces swept through the region, employing their exceptional organizational skills and logistical capabilities to sustain a long campaign. City after city fell before the Mongol onslaught. Notable cities such as Kazan, Bulgaria, and eventually Kiev succumbed to the Mongols' rapid assaults. The siege of Kiev in 1240 was particularly brutal. After a sustained assault, the city was captured, leading to widespread slaughter and destruction. The consequences of the invasion for the region, including the socio-political impact, the Mongol invasions had profound effects on the region. This period, known as the Mongol Yoke, left a lasting imprint on the political, social, and economic landscapes of Eastern Europe. Many Russian principalities were forced to pay tribute to the Mongols, leading to significant economic strain. Some regions were left in ruins, while others adapted to the new reality of Mongol governance, which paradoxically allowed for local customs and governance as long as tribute was paid. Ultimately, the Mongol presence in Russia would shape its evolution over the next 2 centuries, influencing the rise of Moscow as a powerful center of resistance against Mongol control. As the Russian principalities slowly unified under the leadership of Moscow, they began to forge a national identity that would eventually resist and overthrow the Mongol influence, culminating in the rise of the Russian Empire. Section 3. Innovations in Administration. Beyond military conquest, Genghis Khan was a visionary leader who understood the importance of effective governance. As the empire expanded, so did the complexity of administering such vast territories. To maintain communication across his realm, Genghis Khan established the Yam, a postal relay system. This intricate network of stations operated every 25 to 30 miles, allowing messengers to travel rapidly, which was essential for both administrative efficiency and military coordination. Trade flourished under Mongol rule. The empire's protection of the Silk Road allowed for an unprecedented exchange of goods, ideas, and technologies. Mongols were known for their religious tolerance, allowing various faiths to thrive, which encouraged merchants and scholars from diverse backgrounds to engage in commerce and knowledge sharing. Cultural exchanges led to significant developments, such as the introduction of papermaking from China to the West, advancing literacy and record-keeping throughout the empire. The Mongols facilitated the spread of gunpowder technology, which would later revolutionize warfare in Europe. Section 4. The Legacy of Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan's legacy is not merely a tale of conquest but an enduring influence on governance, culture, and the interconnectedness of civilizations. His unification of the Mongolian tribes laid the foundation for a vast empire that would redefine the political landscape of Eurasia. Under Genghis Khan's leadership, the Mongol Empire became the largest contiguous land empire in history. His vision transcended borders, promoting trade, cultural exchanges, and diplomacy. This integration of diverse cultures set the stage for subsequent leaders to follow in his footsteps. Genghis Khan's descendants, particularly Kublai Khan, are notable for continuing his legacy on a monumental scale. Kublai established the Yuan dynasty in 1271, uniting Mongolian and Chinese cultures more intimately than ever before. He embraced Chinese bureaucracy, adopting Confucian principles and integrating them into Mongolian governance. Cultural blossom. Under Kublai's reign, the arts flourished. The Yuan period witnessed advances in painting, drama, and poetry. Kublai Khan's court became an intellectual hub where scholars, artists, and travelers converged, resulting in a rich cultural tapestry that influenced generations. Marco Polo, the Venetian merchant and explorer, famously documented his travels within the Mongol Empire during Kublai Khan's rule. His accounts not only provided Europe with a glimpse into the opulence and sophistication of the Mongol court but also bridged Eastern and Western cultures, igniting fascination and curiosity that would last for centuries. One of Genghis Khan's significant achievements was the promotion of religious tolerance. The Mongols did not coerce their subjects into adopting a single religion. Instead, they encouraged diversity, allowing Buddhism, Islam, Christianity, and other practices to coexist. This approach enabled the empire to govern effectively over a vast array of peoples and cultures. Philosophical impacts. The ideals Genghis Khan instilled, unity, meritocracy, and tolerance, are evident in the structures of many modern governments. His emphasis on leadership that prioritized results over noble birth is considered a precursor to meritocratic principles seen in various political systems today. The Mongol Empire established unprecedented trade networks that facilitated commerce and cultural exchange between East and West. The secure environment along the Silk Road, vastly improved during the Pax Mongolica, allowed for the flow of goods, technologies, and ideas. The concepts of diplomacy and international relations that emerged from this period would lay the groundwork for future engagements between different nations. Section 5. The Empire Splinters. The vast empire that Genghis Khan built, marked by unity and unprecedented power, began to splinter soon after his death in 1227. His successors faced enormous challenges in maintaining control over the disparate territories, leading to divisions that would ultimately alter the political landscape of Eurasia. Upon Genghis Khan's death, his empire was divided among his 4 sons, each of whom was granted control over different khanates. While this initial division helped maintain order, it inevitably set the stage for power struggles and rivalries that unfolded over the next few decades. The empire's vastness made it difficult for any single leader to exert authority over such widely dispersed territories. The Golden Horde, the Ilkhanate, the Chagatai Khanate, and the Yuan dynasty each began to pursue their own interests. Emerging leaders prioritized personal power over collective unity, leading to a series of internal conflicts. Golden Horde. Located in the north near Russia, the Golden Horde engaged in battles with emerging powers such as the Principalities of Moscow. Tensions rose between the Khanate and Moscow, culminating in conflicts that gradually eroded Mongol influence in the region. Ilkhanate. While initially flourishing under leaders like Hulagu Khan, the Ilkhanate faced fragmentation due to succession disputes and the loss of central authority. This decay was exacerbated by the rise of local powers and the spread of Islam, which became a unifying factor against Mongol rule. Chagatai Khanate. Positioned in Central Asia, the Chagatai Khanate struggled with internal divisions and external pressures from both neighboring states and the rising power of Timur, Tamerlane, who would unify a large territory but not under the Mongol banner. The Mongol assaults into the Middle East and further west met significant resistance. The Battle of Ain Jalut in 1260 marked a notable defeat for the Mongols, as the Mamluks, a powerful Islamic force, successfully halted the Mongol advance into Egypt. This victory was monumental because it showcased that the once invincible Mongol warriors could be defeated, further emboldening local powers to resist Mongol dominance. As the empire fractured, various regions experienced uprisings. The Red Turban Rebellion led to the decline of the Yuan dynasty in China in the mid-14th century as discontent among the populace grew due to heavy taxation and foreign rule. Local grievances coalesced into a powerful movement, resulting in the establishment of the Ming dynasty, effectively ending Mongol dominance in China. The once unified Mongol Empire had splintered into several independent khanates, each dealing with external threats and internal divisions. As these factions vied for power, they inadvertently paved the way for modern nation-states. The principalities that had formerly paid tribute to the Mongol Empire began to assert their independence and form new alliances, dramatically reshaping the political landscape of Eurasia. In Russia, the decline of the Golden Horde allowed the emerging power of Moscow to rise, solidifying its status as the nucleus for a new Russian state. Under leaders like Ivan III, Ivan the Great, Russia would gradually unify, eventually overthrowing Mongol rule and laying the foundations for the Russian Empire. Section 6. The Fall. The Mongol Empire continued to face challenges in the 14th century, culminating in an immense crisis. The outbreak of the Black Death, which swept through Europe and Asia in the mid-1300s, decimated populations across the continent. The interconnectedness of the empire, facilitated by its vast trade networks, inadvertently enabled the rapid spread of the plague. Famine and social unrest fueled rebellions across the empire. Major revolts, coupled with the diminishing authority of the Khans, led to a significant power shift. Distant lands became increasingly autonomous, and former subjects of the empire began to assert their independence. Ultimately, the rise of the Ming dynasty in China and the emergence of new powers, like the Grand Duchy of Moscow in Russia, effectively dismantled the remnants of Mongol dominance. By the late 17th century, the once great khanates had either fallen silent or redefined their identities, severing ties with the empire that had once united them. Conclusion. The lasting impact. While the Mongol Empire may have faded into history, its legacy is undeniable. It played a critical role in shaping trade routes, facilitating cultural exchanges, and influencing policies that emphasized merit and loyalty over nobility. The age of the Mongols opened pathways for future leaders who envisioned vast empires governed by unity rather than division. From the windswept steppes of Mongolia to the burgeoning cities of the modern world, the influence of Genghis Khan and his descendants can still be felt today. Their story transcends time, reminding us of the complexities of power, identity, and culture. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the Mongol Empire, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more historical content. What fascinates you most about the Mongol Empire? Let us know in the comments below. Until next time, keep exploring history.